Black tennis player Sachia Vickery is wide open. A lot of people have been reading about her appearing on OnlyFans. I wanted to take an opportunity to chime in on the subject matter through a different lens. I wanted to first address the fact of her thinking that she had to appear on OnlyFans, offering for at least for most people adult entertainment, if you will, in an effort to support her career. Over the last 14 years, she's made $2 million, dollars, more than most players, white and black alike, outside of the Williams sister in the years when Althea Gibson used to play. So for her to now allege that in order to cover hotel, airfare, and other expenses related to her tennis career, she must reduce herself to being nothing more than an adult entertainer or whore on OnlyFans is very, very concerning to many of us. This is particularly true when we look at what it means to be Black, female, and in sports. What it means to be Black, female, and in sports when you represent the culture and the likes of a Don Stakely, notwithstanding that, the challenges that face those like an Angel Reese, who, as soon as she appears in a bathing suit, it subjects her to a lot of sexual innuendos and commentary regarding that. And so here where you have a woman who already has the talent and the skill set for over 14 years to be able to compete on the level that she's been able to compete, it is very unsettling and disappointing, respectfully, that Vickery has decided to make an excuse for charging men $1,000 per date to associate themselves with her brand, notwithstanding for her to appear half nude in some of her online photography in an effort to raise funds to assist her in her tennis career. I think of the days when Althea Gibson played. A lot of people don't remember Althea Gibson, but she was, in fact, the first Black to win at Wilmington in 1957 in Forest Hills, as well as the first to win the French championships in 1956. But this was a Black woman who competed as early as the 1950s, a U.S. National Tennis Championship at Forest Hills in 50. And by 51, she entered the All England Tennis Championship at Wilmington. She didn't have to sell sex to do that. She didn't have to engage in adult entertainment to do that. There were sponsors for her, then available to her when she entered into this space. She won her first tournament that was sponsored by the American Tennis Association, the ATA, an all-Black organization in 1952. And she was able to take her lessons at Harlem's Cosmopolitan Club in 1941. So I am compelled to question why almost 100 years later, Vickery believes that she needs to engage in adult entertainment in an effort to sponsor in part or fund in part her career in tennis. Again, she's had a successful career for 14 years. And so it's unconscionable that she needs to reduce herself to this magnitude. When we think of Black women in sports, we think of the challenges that even players in the WNBA are encountering, to include but not be limited to them dealing with same-sex marriages and relationships, lesbianism, if you will, butchism, if you will, what that has done to them in terms of their inability to get sponsors. You even look at what has happened with Audra Wilson and the inability for her to secure a signature sneaker through Nike, and how they went out their way to bring in Juju Watkins after much debate I created in part to draw awareness to what was happening to Aja as it pertains to the $10 million that was offered Caitlin Clark to play and receive that when she hadn't even proven herself at the time in the WNBA compared to Audra Wilson's schedule and the manner in which Audra Wilson has proven herself as a champion, both Olympic and a champion NC2A and the WNBA. So dealing with sexism and racism, and then you have a Black female tennis player who's wide open, if you will, Vickery that is, and literally puts herself out there. I'm neither butch nor lesbian. To each his own. I'm a heterosexual woman, very proud of that. Don't even engage in menage a trois. Don't need no help in that. Trust that, believe that, understand that for the purpose of what I'm about to say. So wherein you have a Vickery who's not the most attractive Black woman on the planet. She's just not. It's not because she's brown skinned, but she's just not. To me, in my eyes, there are some beautiful Black women out there who could pull this off more successfully, I think, than she can. And at $1,000 for a date, that speaks volume to what she cannot accomplish versus what she can. When you put yourself out there in the manner in which she has, how do you come back and ask for people to respect you and respect your brand? Now, as you all know, we have Fannikins. Fannikins is a unique brand of women's sports fans. We play, do, and go. We play sports, we do sport and activities, and we go to sport and events. So that's our hashtag, Play, Do, Go. Fannikins, a unique brand of women's sports fans through Seltzer Sports and through the Field to Rim podcast also. We're not on Instagram. We're very private with what we do and how we do what we do, but we do it in a manner that's very, very respectful. We don't sell tail. I mean, bottom line, we don't sell ass. Just put it out there just like that. And we like to think we still got the baby fat and we get down like that and we enjoy life accordingly. We're not adult entertainers. We don't sell our bodies, our mind, our soul, or our spirit. That's just not what we do. We just enjoy sports. And we try and do it in a unique way that allows us to be respected in this space, but to be able to embrace it. But as African-American women particularly, because we have a diverse group of Fannikins, but for those of us who are African-American, we know that we face challenges of sexism, racism, and classism. And so when we buy into that in the way that Vickery has, and you suggest that selling your mind, body, soul, and spirit is the only way to get a sponsor, I challenge that. Vickery is a beautiful woman, 30 years of age, very beautiful. Not the best looking woman in terms of her body or figure, but it depends on what you want and what you're looking for. At $1,000 a pop, it also depends on what you get in on those quote unquote dates. I doubt very seriously that there are men just paying her $1,000 just to show up with her. You don't see anyone in public with her. So I don't know what that $1,000 fee involves. But I would suspect that it has a lot to do with adult entertainment. They're not simply paying to sit across from her and the likes of her at a table. Again, I say this very respectfully. In terms of my being a Black woman to Black woman, she's beautiful in that space. But in terms of what is out there and what she's offering, I don't know how she's pulling this off, but she is. For those, I suspect maybe more white men interested in her than Black men. But that being said, it's disappointing for me as a Black woman who tries to be a voice of reason in this space on a professional level for what it means to be Black and female and in sports. And we've been silent on what Vickery has done and whether this is a setback that will set us up for further problems. I know that when we look at what is happening through the recent administration, Trump administration, a lot of people are concerned about the repeal or abolishing the DEI, but I think that the DEI, diversity, exclusion, and inclusion, is more so designed to address what has happened with the LGBTQIA community and their advancement under that enactments and then under those programs and services, no different than affirmative action benefited more white women than it did those of us who are Black and or male, Black, female, or male. The DEIs did the same thing. It just was a segue, opened the door for the advancement of the LGBTQIA agenda. And with that being said, we were not able as a whole, as a community, those of us who are heterosexual, Black and female, to benefit. So I do understand where Vickery might feel like she's unable to get sponsorship, but where I differ in opinion for her as I look again, the Althea Gibson. A space like tennis, we are far few and removed from that, other than the Williams sisters. And the Williams sisters didn't have to sell their tail or offer their bodies up on OnlyFans or any other platform. They were able to attain sponsors. And I would think, given the athletic talent that Vickery possesses, that if she had applied herself accordingly, she would have been able to garner as much, if not double, triple fold the amount of money that she's received through sponsorship, through corporate sponsorships, to include but not be limited to everything from apparel to tennis wear, to shoes, to even drinks, beverages, if you will, and the like. as opposed to trying to reduce herself, because that's exactly to me what she's done. Once you've put yourself out there on an OnlyFans, this is an African American woman of darker skin hue who might excel through tennis like the Williams sisters have. But in terms of being marketable and in terms of sponsorship, any little thing that we as African American women do that is challenging or wrong has an adverse impact on us. So wherein you enter the adult entertainment space like OnlyFans, how do you therefore expect to receive the respect as you need as a Black female tennis player and the US Open or on any other platform, be it Wilmington and the like? I don't know what her future holds for her, but I know that it makes it even more difficult for young Black women to use her anymore as an example of success and what it means to be successful. If you look at some of the photographs that she have, they're very racy. It's one thing to have a two-piece bikini on. That's one thing. It's another when you're on red satin sheets and you got your buttocks up in the air and you're on this red phone and what it is that you're saying to some of the people that have allegedly claimed to have spoken to you. So you're not just simply offering racy photos. You're not simply offering dates. You could play with that if you want to. I think all of us are mature enough to recognize that no one is paying the likes of a Vickery $1,000 to just go to a movie or go out to dinner or a Broadway show or to travel, that there has to be much more to it than that. My understanding is at one point, she now is asking for a deposit, even on the $1,000 date, where you have to pay at least 50% down. So that says a lot about what may or may not have been happening on these particular dates. Let's talk about the importance and significance of Black women in the space of tennis. Again, far, few, and in between the years of Althea Gibson to the Williams sisters. And that was a journey. Many of us were concerned that the Williams sisters did not do enough, if you will, to open the gateway or to provide a gateway for other Black women to enter into this space. And there's two of them, Venus and Serena, that the programs and services that they provided were limited, if any at all, that they could have gone around the country, similar to what Tiger Woods did when he partnered at that time. He's no longer associated with the Nike brand on that level. But when he was, he basically was setting up programs and services around the country within the space of golf. To address that and utilizing the Nike brand to do so. The Williams sisters did not do that. You did not find them in places like Forest Hill, which is in Queens, New York, opening up programs and services, coming into community programs in Atlanta, Georgia. They have in Clayton County, Georgia, one of the largest tennis courts and programs there that were also used during the Olympics, along at the same site where the volleyball was held, the International Park. You didn't find them in different sectors of New Jersey, Florida, the Carolinas, and on the West Coast. And so I think of the two programs they provided, they were very nominal in terms of very small, in terms of the people that they were trying to reach out to. And I understand Holcomb Rucker, the Ruckus Park used to say, each one teach one. And that's actually what people need to do. You did not see that with the Williams sisters in terms of them trying to teach and educate on the game. Althea Gibson did much more with them from the late 40s up until her death in 2003 than these young ladies did with their level of popularity. And they didn't do it. But the one thing those sisters did not do, and that their father did not do, he never sold them. He didn't sell those girls like on an auction. He didn't put them out there in a way that would have let anyone think of them in any way outside of their gift and their professionalism and their expertise in the space of tennis. And we would have wanted to see that with Vickery. And we really would have wanted to see that. It's difficult to celebrate her, even if she wins. I know she advanced to the first round upon competing against a German, but she would never be celebrated in that sense because she's not even being respected. And you could say, well, a white athlete did it. We'll say that like 5 times over. White female athlete did it from a small country, not here in the United States. And then one in the U.S. did participate on OnlyFans and immediately received the sponsorship that she wanted. That has not happened for Vickery. The difference between the two is one was actually selling adult entertainment. That's Vickery. The other was not. The other one was utilizing that as a channel to draw attention and awareness to her financial plight and the struggle of what it meant for her to participate in the sport and to be able to see if she could get a sponsor. Vickery hasn't done that in that manner. I am greatly concerned that when you look at Black wealth in America, that Vickery could arguably state that she was unable to secure the sponsorship necessary to pay for hotel, to pay for airfare, to pay for tennis lessons and other expenses associated with her participating in tennis as a sport. But equally so, it goes to a larger conversation about managing Black wealth. $2 million does not seem like a lot of money, but it spends. It spends as such when properly used. There are some people that literally put $2 million away, trust me when I tell you, and they live comfortably off the interest based on the lifestyle that they have. So, in her securing and making $2 million in 14 years of her career in tennis, are you suggesting that you have nothing left, that you're penniless, that you have to actually put yourself out there, that you weren't able to take that money and flip it and change it, invest in it in a way that could allow for you to save face and maintain respect and pride and dignity and morality, as opposed to you literally being on OnlyFans? Are you saying that you took $2 million and you just went straight through it? You didn't set aside anything? And one would have to speculate that if you're trying to sell yourself at $1,000 per date, but you had $2 million over the course of 14 years, what did you do with the $2 million that you had? Did that come from earnings that you won from winning? Or was this money that you saved up over the years? Or was it money that you attained from sponsors? Again, it is very, very hard for anyone to respect you going forward in this space because you put yourself out there like a whore. There, I said it. When I think of young ladies and women on OnlyFans, you selling yourself. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And when you do it for profit, you leave very little room for speculation as to what $1,000 a date means to you or means to the persons who are buying you. A Black woman for sale, a Black woman on the auction. We could dress it up any which way we can, calling it adult entertainment. We could do all of that. At the end of the day, Vickery, you sold yourself for $1,000 a date. What do those dates include? And so, yeah, it's very disappointing. It's unsettling that we no longer can say to young Black girls that you can aspire to play tennis like the Williams sisters and Althea Gibson, because we now have the Vickerys out there. So what we now have to do and what we must do is sort of erase you from the conversation of associating you with the brand of tennis. This thought of, quote unquote, you said you'll no longer, quote unquote, talk shit about OnlyFans girls because you reduced yourself to them, paraphrasing. You could choose that option if you want. At the same time, I think the bigger question is going deeper, less a spirit of greed, less yourself trying to create a conversation around yourself. I don't understand for the life of me why OnlyFans became the platform that you use to raise money. I think that you could have taken to an X, to an IG, and did something very privately with regard to promoting yourself, not sexually, but promoting yourself in a way that says, listen, I'm trying to move forward in tennis. I want to participate in the US Open. I need sponsors. And I'm sure that you would have gotten a sponsor. You would have probably pulled somebody from the NBA or maybe somebody from the NFL or maybe a white corporate executive, maybe even a Zuckerberg. Trust me, he's out there. He trolls. I see you, Zuckerberg. Yes, I do. And I know you're trolling. I appreciate you too. Anyway, you could have brought in that level of people to observe what you're doing. Elon trolls also. And so they follow certain people, places, and things. Trust that, believe that, understand that to be true. You could have easily found someone on that level to say, this is what I'm doing. My Bill Gates at Microsoft would have probably loved to sponsor you, just simply presenting yourself and what it is you would like to do and how you could associate yourself with their brands. You could have done that. And then the same to be true for tennis, be it again through apparel, the tennis, even the racket companies would have loved to take you in. You didn't want to be. So I think what you have to do is be honest with us. This was beyond money for you. I think you use this as a different form of code switching and messaging. And so why don't you share with us, when your time permits, what you were attempting to accomplish? Because I definitely was not predicated upon your simply trying to raise money, Vickery. You did not have to do this to raise money. And I don't want to be sarcastic when I say this, but if you, and I'm not a male, but just looking at, even at some of the commentary that's been suggested around you, you're not one of the baddest girls in the game in terms of body and everything. And so if you were going to go that route with it, and you knew that was the route you were going to go, rather than present yourself out there like that, and this is not body shaming, trust you me, it's not. But, you may have been able to work on you just a little more, and then be able to say, okay, this is who I'm presenting out here, as opposed to saying, bam, this is me, take me as I am. I remember a conversation, my father and I are very, very close. And he always said he worried about me because I'm always been flipped with my conversations. But he said to my sister had very long wavy hair and she cut her hair. And he asked her, did you ask your husband for permission to cut your hair? And so I'm the daughter that would sit at the table and say, Dad, why she had to ask her husband for permission to cut her hair? I'm going somewhere with this, Vickery, just listen. And so he said, I worry about you. And I just said, okay, but why did you need to ask your husband for permission to cut your hair? And then he addressed my sister about the weight that she had picked up. My sister had a Coca-Cola bottle, the beautiful, the classic, the 20, she was, 36, 24, 38, body, gorgeous, thick, wavy hair, all naturally hers. The body's all naturally hers, as is mine. And so when he had that conversation with her, again, I said, she has asked her husband for permission to gain or lose weight. My father said this. He said, when her husband met her, she was the classic Coca-Cola. She's now about 3 liter. And he has, and I worry as daughters that, your daddy's little girls until you become that of your spouses. And at that point, you become his. And so the message in that was making sure that we always present ourselves in a way to align ourselves with the way in which the men in your life met you. If they met you as a classic, you got to stay a classic. If they met you as 3 liter, you stay 3 liter, but you don't go from classic to 3 liter and then say, well, he need to love all of this. When I saw your pictures, that was the mindset. It made me recall that conversation that I had with my father as it pertains to him addressing my sister on picking up some weight. I mean, you all are, brown skin girls, you body. I see all that. But you more 3 liter now. You're not the classic that you used to be. And if I'm in your shoes and I'm trying to take to OnlyFans and really profit from OnlyFans, not the crumbs off of the master's table, respectfully, work on yourself. Put yourself in a better predicament than you are. And I know there's some dudes that like you to be thick with it, but you thick with it. And there was a time when, Vickery, you were more of a classic, not headed toward that 3 liter type. And so, if you're going to do that, then work on that and work on your abs, because you have some a little overhang, a little pouch, a little kangaroo pouch sitting right above that bikini line on one of the photos you have. So I'm saying this to be respectful. If you're going to do what you're doing, then do it the right way. You can't just throw on anything and think it's going to work. And instead of maybe the red, maybe another color, purple would look gorgeous on you. Maybe purple satin, not the red satin with the red phone. It looks very cheesy, just saying. So, that being said, disappointed that you, who we've been rooting for and hoping that you do very well in the tennis open, and now I see that you are wide open, and those $1,000 dates might have you extra wide and extra open. Good luck with that, and good luck with your career. I don't know where it's going to take you after this year. but you definitely disgraced what it means to be Black, to be female, and be in sports, especially the world of tennis. Thank you for joining me today on Field to Rim. This is Lisa Hampton. Love is selflessly authentic, having all money, power, talent, opportunities now. Ron Ball, The Allen Iverson Way, book and documentary dropping soon. We'll see you. Enjoy. Thank you.